I woke up late and I was expecting the chicks. And what I was supposed to do was do the cleaning of these drinkers and feeders like early in the morning. But the fact that I woke up late, my mind was really racing and I was busy here as I am doing this cleaning up of the feeders and the drinkers, justly cleaning them. Of course, I had cleaned them already, but I have to do the quickly cleaning of them. But since I woke up late and I was really hoping that the dealer, my supplier of my chicks, would not go the moment I was still doing this. But luckily, I managed to finish cleaning my feeders and my drinkers, like re-cleaning them until I was done. So today we are receiving the chicks. And one thing you should know is that the room needs to be preheated before the chicks come in, like 24 hours. And that was done. And the moment I was cleaning, the one thing that was remaining is like cleaning these feeders and drinkers. But some were not even cleaned. Some were, I was just doing the cleaning. But even these drinkers that I'm doing here, it's just that I need to use them at some point during maybe the moment I'll be vaccinating and all that stuff. But my mind was still racing here, like, oh, if they call me, I don't want to waste time, because one thing I don't like is to keep my chickens at a dealer shop for a long time, because a lot of poultry farmers come in there, maybe some are still having chickens in their poultry, maybe the chickens are sick and you don't need your chickens to come in contact with those people. So it is really stressful to have your chicks being like the air from other poultry farmers come in. It's really bad because they might get the disease. So here I was just hoping they won't call. But thankfully, when the moment they called me, I was already done and I didn't waste time to go to the dealer shop, which I was really racing for, because if I wasted time, anything could happen. For me, I won't lie, I don't like to keep my chickens at the dealer shop for a long time, because a lot of people go there and I don't know what they've come in contact with. So I prefer my chicks, if I'm going to keep them while preparing my stuff, better home. So fast forward, I finished, then I went to the dealer shop. Then I went there, a lot of people didn't collect their chicks, so I went there and just gave them the receipt and just went straight into the poultry. And since the room was already preheated the other night and the fire also was still in, the one that was getting them ready, fast forward, I didn't waste time. I started just putting in the chickens. They don't have to waste time being in the box. They need to start creating meat. It's really important that your chicks go early into your brooder. One thing that was really the reason why they were supposed to go early into the brooder is, they need to learn how to use the nipple drinkers. But I won't lie, it took time for them to understand that the nipple drinkers are the ones they're going to use for drinking. But out of curiosity, they started using them. But before they started using them, I had to produce those more extra drinkers just to make sure that those that are not yet curious, they can drink from the normal drinkers. The normal drinkers, chickens really are used to it. And one thing that you should also put in mind is looking out the temperature that is in your room. So first thing that I did, instead of just putting in fire, I had to put a big brazier. These chicks really confused me at first, because chicks, maybe because they were stressed, you have more than 35 degrees in the room, but the chicks are behaving like the room is cold. I think it happens that way. It's not the first time for me, but in case you see your chicks behaving that in a weird way, whereby you have fire in the poultry room, there are some people, okay, I know there are some poultry farmers who don't use thermometers, but for me, a thermometer is a must, because I don't like to guess the temperatures in the room. I used to guess a long time ago. Then the moment when I started using the thermometer, things became easy for me. I don't overheat. And the time when I wasn't using the thermometer, most of the time I used to like get ascites in the poultry house, like most of my beds. But the moment I started using a thermometer, things became easy. But on this cage, things are more easier now because I have normal thermometers, which are two. This one that I'm holding and the other one that I was holding. Then the other temperature that, like the thermometer that I have, is part of the temperature controller. It turns on the lights that are in the brooder when the surrounding becomes cold. So I had to set up a thermometer for them to just keep them warm all the time. So here the chicks are. Some of them are trying to get on top of those nipple drinkers, but most of them didn't even have a curiosity to like drink from there. So I saw like, oh, these guys are really, really struggling and they need to be assisted. That's when I thought of, oh, let me give them. But it was already a fast forward thing. I had to give them, then I just allowed them to stay there for 2 hours drinking water, get the curiosity, and then I started like giving them the feed. But before I gave them the feed, you have to know the water you are giving them needs to have stress back, anything that will release their stress, because transportation for them really, really stresses them. So fast forward, I gave them feed after they were done drinking the water. I gave them feed. They started eating. Of course, you have to. So you see the drinkers that I'm talking about, those ones. Then you have to put also feed like down on the floor for a couple of 3 days. So I gave them feed. You know, the reason why we put feed down is because we want the chicks, anywhere where they are able to find food. And also the box which is down, whether you're using a box or using the newspapers, or you are using the original brooder paper. If the chicks are eating, it makes a sound and the other chicks get curious, what is our friend eating? Then later on they find like, oh, it's feed. So most of them start to eat. So they eat, and then that's how your chicks get used to eating. So now, here are the chicks, guys. Brooding started, and it is what it is. Of course, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing because you'll learn a lot out of this. And the fact that I'm doing the new thing, which is the caging, it is really going to help you. Maybe you can change your mind and do the same. So if you're new, consider subscribing, comment if you have any question, and like the video. Then we'll be able to interact. And that's a bye-bye for this day, which was our first day. Bye.